when I first started my online business, I was walking down the street in Europe and I walked past what I think was like a pajama store. It was pretty like boutique-y. And on their pajamas, on their pants, there was these unicorn prints. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And at the time, I was selling a lot of products without any type of prints on them. I was like, that's a really good way to differentiate. And then I kind of started tweaking my product more and more. I made it thicker than all of the competitors, which was really important because it created more warmth and more value. Then I was like, how can I change the packaging of the product so that customers, share it a little bit more on social media and get more value out of it as well. I was like, without, increasing the cost so much that it becomes unfeasible to do so. And, I just came up with adding a bow to the product. So it's like a good gifting arrangement. Then I was just like, all right, let's start customizing prints. Let's get a graphic designer in-house and let's really make sure that customers can really connect with the product and they need to come to us so that they can get the product that they connect with most. Because pajamas, it's not a fashion statement really. It's just about having a bit of fun. So all of those three factors, while they seem somewhat trivial and not hugely, they're not hugely genius. Like they're not revolutionary. I didn't create the next iPhone. But those small tweaks allowed us to beat competitors, and product is the greatest form of leverage. And by differentiating product, you create product and offer. You create more leverage than you can do through any other strategy. And I think maybe culture is close to the second, but that's probably more so for large companies. A lot of the dropshippers that are coming to me and they're kind of freaking out and they're like, how do I actually differentiate my product? Because competitors coming in and the product's just going less and less. I've got no repeat purchase rate. I'm doing 10 million a year and eventually it's going to go. And I think people kind of freak out about it and make it harder than it actually is. I think one of the really interesting, I'm going to give you a tip today, and this is stupid. This is going to be a kind of a very basic overview and checklist of things that you can do to take your business to the next level. I like to look at it as, can I change my product so that it goes viral? And let's define viral for a second. Sure, there's the virality of getting lots of views on TikTok and TikTok's algorithm boosting it or people sharing it on the platform. But traditional virality was actually defined as where your viral coefficient is greater than 1. So every single person that interacts with your product, on average, they share it with greater than one person, because that then creates virality. It continuously grows and grows and compounds until it starts to fatigue, obviously. And I think that we can shoot for both forms of virality with our product differentiation, because the platforms themselves, there's the way that I see it is two different things. Like the viral platform side of things is more around shock value, whereas the virality amongst customers, which is the true valuable virality to creating a brand, is more so around customer value. And we can really dive deep into ways that we can differentiate our product to achieve both forms of virality. And I think that these are going to sound very basic, but they have worked, and they're going to jump between the kind of tacky forms of virality, but also the customer value side of things. Now, before we continue, the disclaimer on this video is like, these products, these stories that I'm about to tell you, I'm showing you how easy it is and how much value that they created through these very, very simple forms of customization that you can take into any sector and any product. So don't just go and copy these ones, because it's probably saturated already and it just defeats the point of what we're talking about. And I think that if you're a dropshipper, there is a chance that you can take kind of any product and apply these principles, or better yet, you can take any commoditized product in perfume, supplements, literally anything, and apply these principles, and it will work. So the first one is obvious. Like it's make something smaller. So I have a friend and he loves camping, or loves forward driving, super smart. And he pretty much took a torch and shrunk it down into a very small torch, kept all the other features amazing, and it just exploded. I think he was doing, $20,000 days, very early on, kind of customized the product, had to go a little bit back and forth with the factory, but they had all the molds because they're already making average sized torches, and it just went crazy. There are so many different types of products that you can shrink down to be more convenient for the user, or you can shrink down for the novelty of it. So for example, like if you write in miniaturizing on TikTok right now, the amount of viral products on that subject is just crazy. Like all of these supermarkets, they do miniaturized products of like Oreos and this kind of stuff. People are just fascinated by that, and that creates the shock value. But probably what I would push towards is creating value by shrinking something down. And then there's the opposite. You can make something really oversized, like oversized foods. We sell huge blankets, like oversized blankets. Like we've sold human oversized dog beds. And that small customization changes the use case, increases the virality, and differentiates so that you can actually acquire things on these platforms. And I should have broke this down a little bit more. Like, yes, virality is a good measure of, and it's going to be very correlated with sales, but it's also a very good measure of how it's going to perform on Facebook because the CPMs are cheaper. So these platforms, they want shock value. They want viral videos because it's less intrusive to the user on the platform. So therefore, you should really strive to make your product development match that, obviously. So making something smaller, making something really oversized, people are going to watch those videos to completion. They're happy to sell you that ad space at a much cheaper rate. The other good example of like making just something faster or bigger or just like more grandiose is these water pistols that have just always been scaling. And yes, sure, so water pistols, boring. Then they slowly progress. Now they've got lights on them. Now they shoot faster. People are trying to advertise how quickly that they can shoot cans and all of this stupid stuff. But at the same time, it works. It 100% works. And I think that another really good example of that is this stupid ball that people are dropping off a balcony, and it's bouncing up and going all the way up. And it's obviously they're just reversing the footage. But at the same time, that is just showing efficiency at the highest level for that product. And that is why it goes viral. That is why it actually sells. Probably more on like a less tacky drop shipping sense is, something like High Smile. Like they have now launched Wonka toothpaste. And also, I put this in the same category of the pink stuff. If you haven't seen the pink stuff, maybe it's an Australian thing, maybe it's a global thing. But I did a whole series where I launched like a yellow cleaning scrub series, and it sold out. And it's like first week, it was so quick. I probably should have continued on with it just to show you that how easy it was to do that. But all we needed to do was change the color, change the flavor. And the more shock value that you can provide with these customizations, the more attention you're going to get. And this, High Smile forecasted for $1 billion in revenue, like absolutely massive. You can also go to the flip side of that, which is also like misdirection. So we've got smaller, bigger / oversized. We've got different colors / flavors that they'll probably expect. Now we've got misdirection, making something not fit where it should to create that interesting viral hook. And, if you created an iPhone case that turned your phone into a Game Boy, this is taking something ordinary and changing and making it feel out of place to get people's attention. A probably more valuable thing, well, it doesn't even need to be a more valuable thing to the customer, but is unique packaging. If you have incredible packaging on your product and it's economically feasible, and you then run that against your competitor, I can guarantee you it's going to outperform against that competitor in the acquisition stage, possibly not long-term for the brand stage, because again, the closer that the the differentiation of the product is to creating value to the customer long term, the more likely the brand is going to actually work and be sustainable long term. But at the same time, I've seen a ton of, and this is what dropshipping is built on, is just like, if you can make something such a high shop value, you're not going to have troubles acquiring customers. So make sure you consider where you kind of fit into that. And at the same time, the final one, I think, is probably quality as well, which is just such an important factor that people can change. But at the same time, everyone says that they have changed their quality. So you need to do it to a degree that creates virality, or do it to a degree that is very, very tangible and measurable for the consumer. Good example of this, iPhone cases. Like, if you drop your phone and it doesn't break, cool, you've got a good quality iPhone case. You drop it from a helicopter, and this is what a lot of these people do, like a lot of these brands that are scaling do. I think someone dropped one from space. This is iterating quality at the highest degree. So think about all of those factors that you can actually change these dropshipping products or change to provide more value to customers. And this is how you're going to build a $100 million brand, if you can find that subsection of differentiating to create tons of value.